Good morning. Hey guys, happy Sunday. How you guys doing today? I hope everyone is doing great. I love Sundays. I look forward to Sunday all week with you guys. All right. I think the internet connection is going to be good today. I checked it out before the show started and it was pretty fast. So hopefully that will be a good omen of things to come for the rest of this Sunday. Hope you guys are all doing well. I think maybe my mic might be a little too hot, so I'll lower that down a little bit. So here we are. Another live Sunday Addicted to Gear show. Number 39. Next one's 40, man. It's going to be like an anniversary show. I don't know if I should celebrate the big 4-0. Do something special with you guys. Maybe have a special guest on or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Hope you guys are all doing well. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are healthy and happy and everything's okay on your side. I just want to make sure you guys are all good. Today is quite an overcast, ugly day, so it's a perfect day for me to do a show. The house is quiet. My allergies are not acting up as much as they were last week, so that's really good. I haven't been sleeping well with these allergies. I don't know if you guys if any of you guys suffer from allergies, but it's a terrible thing because you don't sleep well, and it seems like everything that you do after a night of not sleeping gets under your skin, you know. Just to let you know, I was playing this guitar. I have my Kramer here. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I have the Kramer, and I was playing it just before going live and just doing some finger exercises and stuff like I normally do to get my fingers more moving in the morning because they're pretty stiff in the morning. And even the freaking little picks were bothering me. Like I don't have my standard pick. I usually keep them in my pockets of my pants, and I don't know. I forgot to switch them over, so I have like B stock picks in a little pill box that I keep here on my desk. But these are the picks that I don't really like. So I grabbed one, and this is a what is this? This is a Dunlop pick 1.0 with the little grips on it. I don't know if you can see that. And I was playing with it, and it bothered me. It was like plinky sound. I usually go with a thicker pick, and it was bothering me. So then I grabbed this one, which is another Dunlop pick. What is this? This is a also a 1mm Tortex pick, and this one has like a funny scratchy sound to it. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear it scratching. So it's going to be one of those days where everything gets under my skin. So bear with me, guys. Just, that's the way it goes sometimes. So welcome to another Sunday show. 14,840 something subscribers later. We're still going strong. The channel's doing really well, and I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in on a regular basis. It makes Sundays a lot of fun for me and hopefully for you too. Today I'm rocking this Kramer. I pulled it out. This is a Kramer special. I did a full review on this guitar, and if I have a chance, I'll put the link or the card up above so you can watch that video after this video goes live. And really nice guitar. I mean, I think they're still selling these on Sweetwater. And I think they're still selling them for about, I'm going to say $180. If you can find one of these, best $180 you can spend, honestly. If you like the look, obviously. The headstock is pretty much 80s. You have the hockey stick Kramer headstock. On my tuner here. Just remove the tuner. Fretboard rosewood, 12-inch radius on the fretboard. Frets are nice and wide. Honestly, guys, just the neck alone is worth the price of this guitar. One of the things I like most about this guitar, no Floyd. There's no locking system. You can see that, just a regular bridge on this guitar. Back of the guitar, pretty basic. Weight is good, but the neck itself, like I said, 12-inch radius, and it's really a slim neck. Not like Ibanez slim, but really comfortably slim, but the width of the guitar neck is really nice. So if you can definitely find one of these still in stock, I got it in black just because the other option was white, and you know, I'm not crazy about the white, so I grabbed the black. The pickups, of course, you guys are gonna laugh, but the pickups are not stock. This is a Seymour Duncan JB that I put in this guitar. Actually, it was in the guitar when I bought it, because I bought this guitar used. So it's a JB in the one and only pickup location here. No tone, just a volume, and that's it. And I honestly believe that guitars that have just the tone, no, sorry, not just the tone, just the volume without the tone sound better without the other pots in there. The reason for that, the reason I can tell you that for a fact is because on some of my Les Paul guitars, they have the option where you have all the switching configurations, and when you pull out one of the pots, it takes everything else out of the circuit and it goes straight out. All you have at that point is the control of the volume and only the volume, and it sounds so much better when I'm playing it in that mode. So I know for a fact that Eddie was onto something when he just went straight pipe, pickup, volume, out, and nothing else, because everything else does interfere with the tone. So that's the guitar. I've had it for a while, and the guy who I bought it from was pretty anal about his guitars. He took very good care of them. He brought the guitar to get totally set up at his guitar tech, so it was beautifully set up when I got it. The nut on this guitar is good. It doesn't go out of tune like a lot of other guitars with this shape headstock for some reason, so the nut is probably cut better than what it would be stock, and it's not very heavy. But I love this guitar. I've been playing it for a long time, and again, the best, you know, $180 you can spend if you can get one. I know they re-release these now. Gibson re-released them, so they might actually be more expensive. The prices might actually be going up on them. So if you want to get one, try and grab one right now while they're still available at the old price. Also, you don't really find these used too much, because I guess the price point that they're at, you know, $180, like, what are you going to sell for? $50? Doesn't make sense. That's why I'm saying it's such a good value at that price. Look at this. Even the volume, the output jack, look at this. It's countersunk. You know, that's pretty cool. Usually there's just a plate on that, but look, it's nicely done. So that tells me the quality of this budget guitar. And I don't know where they were made. They were probably made in China or Indonesia or somewhere like that. In the back of the headstock, you have the Kramer 40 years little logo. You can see that the headstock there's a joint right there. There's no skunk stripe, and the neck is really, really nice in terms of the smoothness of it. So that's it, man. Great guitar. And the reason I pulled it out is because I was trying to see whether or not I should mod this guitar a little further, because recently I got one of these things. I don't know I think I might have shown you this at the end of the last video as a teaser. This is a Vega Trem. I'll show it to you guys in case you're interested. Oh, I'll pull it out of the wrapper here. So this is part of it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these Vega Trems, but they've been on a lot of YouTube channels. A lot of people are digging them. and I wanted to try one out. You can see how it's built. This tremolo system is not cheap. It's about what? I think they're going for 140 euros. And you can see, well, maybe you can see without my fat fingers being in the way. I'll put it this way. I can tell you for one thing, the trem is made of very high quality metal. It's machined extremely precisely. I can tell you that. You can tell right away that it is when you're holding it in your hands and looking it up closely. It's not pot metal at all. It looks almost like surgical metal. It's really, really high quality. And it comes with a whole bunch of other blades that you have to put on there to get it installed. But the installation is not very complicated. You can see here there's a blade. I don't know if you can see that. If I hold it up, you see this edge here? This edge right here? That's like a knife point edge. It goes all the way across the bridge. And then you have another metal piece that you install, and basically the whole thing pivots on that edge. And makes for a very smooth, clean tremolo system. So what I'm thinking of doing, and this is kind of crazy, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I like this guitar so much. I'm going to upgrade the stock tremolo, which is really a kind of a cheap, this is probably like a $20 tremolo, you know what I mean? So I'm probably going to upgrade this and put the Vega Trem on it and see what happens. And I know it's crazy because the Vega Trem costs more than this guitar. But one of the things that I like most about this guitar is that it doesn't have a Floyd, which is a good thing. But I still want to have the ability of using a good quality tremolo with it. So I'm going to install the Vega Trem on this, and I'm going to see how it makes the guitar feel and play. And if I like it, I'll keep it on this guitar. If not, the good thing about the Vega Trem is that the tremolo system is completely reversible. Like, it's not a big deal if you don't like it. You don't have to drill new holes in your guitar, because the way it's made, it actually uses the existing holes, screw holes that are in there. So you don't have to route out a bigger cavity or anything like that. And the cool thing about the Vega Trem 2 that I noticed, and that's the only thing I'm concerned about with this guitar, because the cavity, I'm not really sure what size the cavity is in the top. But the way the Vega Trem works is that it's actually a little bit smaller than a standard trem. So it actually can float both ways. You could pull up and down on it. And the trem will actually sink in the hole that's there. So that's a pretty interesting thing for me if you like to pull up on the trem. You know, with regular Strat tremolos, it's basically, you can only go as far as the top of the guitar body, right? So that's going to be something that I'm going to be interested in checking out and seeing how it works. And I'll obviously make a video of the installation. Oh, here comes trouble. Here comes trouble. There she is. So I'm obviously going to make a video of that installation for you guys. We'll look at it together, and I'll give you some feedback as to how easy it is to do, and what kind of issues or how smooth it goes. I'll definitely share that with you, and then we'll do some kind of sound tests on that as well. So that's what's coming up for me soon. I don't know if any of you guys have tried this tremolo system. If you have, and if there's any issues with it, let me know, because I like to have a heads up before I actually get started on it, just so I can avoid any kind of potholes or roadblocks on it. So let's say good morning. I got off on a tangent there. Sorry about that. I usually like to say good morning to everyone that's already in the house for the Sunday show. So let's start off with Jack. Hey, Jack, man, you're always the first one on. Awesome, Jack. I appreciate that, man. Paul, how you doing, buddy? Paul's in the house. Bruce, Alan, Wayne. Good morning, Wayne. How are you doing? Hope none of you guys are in the zones of these wildflowers. Wildflowers. I told you the allergies are messing me up. The wildfires that are happening. pretty scary stuff. I've seen some videos, and it looks like you know, the demons are about to awaken. I feel really bad for anybody that's in that zone, so I hope none of you are. I hope everybody's safe. Plus, there's some more bad weather coming in on the Gulf Coast, I hear. Some kind of weather warning as well, so it's pretty nuts, man. So I hope all you guys are safe. None of you are in that zone. Cool Tunes Made Easy. How's it going, brother? Nice to see you, man. Gospel of Mark. Hey, buddy. Michael Scott, good morning. So a lot of nice early risers in the house again this Sunday. Richard Johnson, good morning. The Nye, how you doing, buddy? Well, big good morning to everyone. Henry, Vox Guitars Rock, Quicksilver, good morning. It's nice to see that every weekend there's more of you in the house as well. So I really do appreciate that. Al, Victor, Alan, Strat 5150. If I missed anybody, I want to include you in the good morning as well. So let's get to a couple of questions before we jump into other conversations that lead us into weird tangents, because inevitably that's what's going to happen. So let's say. Okay, first of all, before I do that, I almost forgot. The question of the day that I posted was, and it's kind of a trivial question, but there's a reason why I'm asking it, is question of the day is basically name the colors of each of your guitars. I'm curious to know. The reason I'm asking this question is because I want to know what colors are most popular with guitars and guitarists. There's a lot of different colors being offered by everyone. From fluorescent colors to pretty subdued matte colors as well. And I have a theory that there's certain like 3 or 4 colors that are pretty much the most popular colors for guitars. And I'm just wondering if that's true with you guys. I'm curious to see what you guys have and what colors you gravitate towards. I'll give you my list later on. I actually took a moment to do inventory and write it all down. So I'll tell you what I have. But I'm curious about you guys. So if you haven't answered the question already, do it right now. Answer the questions. I want to go through it with you guys and read some of the colors that you guys are into. So Paul answered the question already. He says bright yellow. Excuse me. Allergies again. Excuse me. Bright yellow, Capri orange, Daphne baby blue, silver sparkle, silver metal flake, black back with white mother of toilet seat top, and natural blonde. So Paul's into the colors that really stand out. Attention grabbers, especially the bright yellow. I'm not gonna lie, I used to have a bright yellow Ibanez at one point. It was really like highlighter yellow. Really, he was an attention grabber. Let me tell you, it would give you a headache if you I don't know, if you were hungover and you looked at that guitar too long, it would give you a hangover, I think. But yeah, I had that for a minute, and then I sold it. But it was a cool, interesting color. I liked it. I guess if you guys are colorblind, if anyone's colorblind in the house, well, colors don't really matter, right? You'll hold up a green guitar and say, that's a really nice red, isn't it? So I guess it becomes a moot point if you're dealing with that kind of a visual affliction. So Bruce says, good morning from New York. Hey, Bruce. So his colors are bursts. So the burst colors are very popular with most guitarists, I think. Or at least I like the bursts a lot. So he's got sunburst, crimson burst, charcoal burst, red, white, blue, gold, black, cherry, natural, etc. And he says he's not racist. He loves all of them. You know what? I really like the color, well, the colors that show the grain. I don't mind like bursts, and I like colors that are a little bit semi-transparent, because I always feel that I'm getting a better quality piece of wood normally. Because when you're dealing with a transparent color, the wood underneath has to be decent. It can't be like B stock with ugly dark knots in it and ugly glue joints. So I tend to gravitate, at least for more expensive guitars, transparent ones, so that I can be sure that I'm getting a nice piece of wood and it's not just painted over. Like this one here, you don't know what's under here, right? It could have a million glue joints and the joints could be all over the place and there could be knots that are filled in. You don't really know, but that's typically what companies do when they're dealing with wood that's inferior. They'll just paint it dark or, you know, something that you can't really see. So Alan says his colors are red, white, blue, silver, and gold. I want to say like red, white, and black are probably going to be the most popular colors. Gold is a selective choice for some. Some people like gold, some people don't. Oh, I forgot to put that on my list. Ooh, damn, I got to add that one. I totally forgot about my gold top. I don't want to leave one out. So I'll put that in. Oh, there's two more I forgot. Shoot. Okay, let me add this to the list here. So gold top, green, and black. All right. So here's my list. All right, guys. I'll go through my list and then we'll go through the rest of everyone else's. No, you know what? I'll save my list for the end because it's gonna be long. So the Gospel of Mark says satin cherry, heritage cherry, sunburst, frost, oxblood, surf green, black cherry, and butterscotch. So it sounds to me like a lot of these colors will probably be transparent as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, on that one. Good morning from San Antonio, Texas. White, red, black, and brown. White, red, black, and brown. Yeah. I think the blues and the gold tops are probably not as popular because specifically gold seems to be like there's a lot of different colored golds. They're not all the same. They always have a tinge. Could be more orange, could be more like a copper color depending on how they mix the color. So those are tricky. And the the blue ones also. Some blues are really nice and some of them are like a little bit too blue, if you get my drift. Alan says he forgot to include satin and gloss black. See, when you forget to include guitar colors, it means you have too many guitars. I just did that. And I'm like, shoot, I thought I got all of them. And there was a couple still missing in the list. Jack says cobalt blue. There's a blue right there. Emerald green, navy blue, black, tung oil, and silver. So Jack definitely likes the blues. Tung oil finishes are nice too because it's really a natural, very subdued finish most of the time. Like those a lot. What else here? We have Daphne blue over shell pink. That's an interesting combination there. And that's relic. Seafoam green. I like the seafoam greens a lot as well. I don't have one though. Tobacco burst, red FMT. Firmiest gold. I don't even know what that color is, but I'm going to take your word for it. Sounds like it's an expensive color. You know when they don't just say gold, it's usually you're paying a premium for those colors. Ocean burst, worn brown, gloss black, trans red. Nice colors, man. I like those colors. A nice selection of rainbow colors there. I guess the Daphne blue over shell pink is more of a, and because it's a relic, it's probably, I was going to say like more of a vintage style guitar probably on that one. Let's see if anybody else. Alan says I should do an interactive cake with candles. You know what I really wanted to do, and I mentioned this previously, but I still haven't figured out the logistics of how this would work, would be to do a 40th with a live stream where everybody can talk. But I have a feeling that it would become chaotic because everybody would be online at the same time, and I don't know how well that would work. But it would be great if we can actually have a two-sided conversation for one of the for the 40th or something like that, or maybe I'll do it for the 50th show. That'd be cool. I can figure out the logistics and see if we can do that. Probably limited rooms and limited time, because I know that when you're using software like Zoom, they usually limit how much time you can spend on these video sessions when you're not paying for it. Otherwise, you have to pay for the service. But whatever it is, I'm going to try and figure it out. I'll have to do some tests on that. Hey, Paul, thanks for that compliment. Paul says, coming here on Sunday feels like when I was a kid sitting down to watch my favorite TV show. I used to get up so early on Saturdays, I think it was Saturdays, not Sundays, here, to watch Bugs Bunny. I'm a huge Bugs Bunny freak. When I was a kid, I used to never get up early, like never. I used to be a sleeper. But Saturday would come along, and I'd be up at the crack of 6, and I'd be like in front of the TV watching the Looney Tunes channels because it was so great. So I get what I get that feeling that you're talking about. I appreciate that. It's quite a compliment there, Paul. Jack says everything's good here. Just settling a few of my guitars. I have one on my workbench right now. Because of the humidity in the basement, especially where I'm at, there's a lot of movement with the neck. So I usually spend some time adjusting the necks and just doing minor corrections of the neck relief on some of the guitars. I just want to make sure that everything feels good when I'm playing it. All right, so what else here? So here, I'll go through my list, and while I'm doing that, you guys can take inventory of yours, and let me know what your colors are, because not everybody answered the questions today. And even if you just have one, I just want to know what it is. Henry says, wildfires are terrible in U.S. Hope everyone is safe. I agree with you 110%. Hopefully none of you guys are affected by any of that. Pretty scary stuff, man. So here we go. Okay, this is my list. Ready? I'm going to jump right into it. It's going to take a minute, but I'll let you know. So, okay, we have the Kramer, which is black, obviously, the one I'm holding in my hand. So I have a Squier Contemporary in pearl white. I have another Squier Contemporary in red. I have a few Telecasters, so I'll go down the list. So one of the Telecasters is Olympic white. It's actually there. I have a blue Telecaster. I have a sunburst Telecaster, a red Telecaster, and a butterscotch one. I have an Olympic white Strat. I have a black Strat and two sunburst Strats. So I really like the sunburst color. I also have the cheapy black Strat that I reviewed not too long ago. That's relatively new. And I'm not going to count my Sun Strat because although it was mine and I gave it to him, I'm not really counting that in the list. But that's red, just in case you do want to count it. Then I have my two PRS guitars. Both of them are a sunburst color. I have a Sur, which is charcoal brown, transparent charcoal brown. They call that charcoal burst. Then I have a couple of Les Pauls. So I have the two regular sunburst Les Pauls. I have the Tokai, which is also a Les Paul style guitar in sunburst. Then I have the black Tokai. I have a Porter guitar that's also like it's a sunburst, but it's a lighter one. I did a review on that as well. 335 Gibson in red, has to be red. A vintage 335, which is also red. And I guess if you want to count my project guitar, that's also a 335, that's going to be red. Then I have the gold top Harley Benton that I reviewed. I have the green Fusion 2 guitar, and I have another black kind of Telecaster style Harley Benton. guitar in there. Then I have two basses, a black one and another one that is kind of between, I guess, more like on the turquoise color side, and the acoustic guitars, which are natural. So that's pretty much my list right there. So most of the guitars are, I guess I have a pretty decent combination of transparent guitars as opposed to guitars that are, solid colors like this. But for me, the reason I'm asking on that is just also be if a color will stop you from buying a guitar if you really like the way it sounds and the features that are on it. I've purchased guitars that were kind of strange colors. I mean, I had a purple burst Charvel San Dimas, which I reviewed also, and you can check back in my logs there. And it was a great guitar in terms of the features on it as well. But I ended up selling it, not because of the color so much, because I could live with the color. It was more because it had a Floyd on it. But purple is not really a color I'd go out of my way to buy. But it's just one of those things. The only colors I think I wouldn't really want to buy nowadays would be like fluorescent colors. And that's part of the reason why I'm staying away from some of the new Charvels that I really like, because I really feel like the new models that they're coming out with are really nice in terms of features and also at the price point that they're coming out with. I don't know if you've seen them, but I've been gassing over a couple of the new Charvels, the latest models, because they don't have Floyds on them finally, and they also have a lot of the nice features that I'm looking for, but they don't have colors that are really, how can I put this, like classic colors. They're doing more of the modern color thing, and they came out with one that's in the gold side of things right now. And although it looks cool, I'm not going to say it's an ugly guitar. It's not an ugly guitar, but I don't know if over time I'm going to get sick of the colors like that. You can check it out on their websites. The models now have also 3 individual single coil pickups in them, as opposed to just the humbuckers. So, but there's no pick guard, and the actual routing for the pickups are right into the body. And I'm not really crazy about that style of routing, because you do see like an opening around the pickup. And you end up getting like spiders and dog hair and dust in there. And I'm not really crazy about that aspect of it. So that's one of the things I don't like about the colors. I wish they would offer better colors. But they're still really nice guitars. I don't know if any of you are interested in looking at those guitars or picking one up. But I like them a lot. And it's the DK22s, I think they call them, and they're about $1,000. They're in the $1,000 range. So for bang for the buck, they're really offering a lot. I think if you buy one of those guitars used, then you're looking at maybe, I don't know, about $800, something around there. If you're talking reasonably for a guitar that's used. So $800 for a Charvel is a great deal, man. They're really nice guitars, well put together. And if you're not like a Strat. If you're a Strat guy, but you want a little bit more modern aspects to it, definitely those guitars are something to look at. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the bottom, to the last question, and work my way backwards, because there was a lot of questions going past there. And I want to give everybody a chance to voice their questions. Regondi. Good morning from New York, Queens. How are you doing in New York? Good morning. So Henry says that 335 seems too big for him. What do you think about a 339 model? I like the 335s, honestly, because to me the 339 models, they're nice because basically they're essentially more or less the same, but they seem too small. It's almost like the 335s are too big, the 339s are a little bit smaller, or quite a bit smaller. It's almost like they need something in between those two sizes. Have you tried the Memphis 335s? They're almost, I don't know if they're smaller. There might be a little bit of a different size, but I know the horns on those guitars are not as fat as the 335s. You'll notice it's subtle, but there is a difference there. Maybe that one would feel better to you. Yeah, Paul, I gotta agree with you, man. Bugs Bunny just rocks. I went out and bought all of the Bugs Bunny collection on CD when they came out, and I have a bunch of them because I wanted my kids to enjoy them too when they were younger. And it's amazing how edited down those videos have become. Like the stuff that they show on TV nowadays. First of all, if it's not Mel Blanc voicing the characters, that's not Bugs Bunny for me. Has to be Mel Blanc because he was the voice. The new stuff is not the same at all. But the thing that amazed me was when I saw the full videos, uncut. You don't realize how much they're cutting out of those videos nowadays because it's not socially acceptable anymore to show like violence and people getting shot and rocks falling on people and stuff. There was a lot of violence in those cartoons. A heck of a lot of violence. And there was some really like iffy things being shown, like smoking, and they were showing slaves in some of their videos. And I remember there was a few videos with like cannibals, and there was a video that I saw there. There was a representation of like Hitler in there as well. A lot of different things that you can't show today, and those things were like edited so much that you didn't really even get the gist of the story anymore because they had to edit them out so badly. But it's, to me, it's just like my childhood. I remember all of those. My favorite character, Samity Sam, was the best. I paid my 2 bits to see the high diving act, and I'm gonna see the high diving act. My favorite, stuff like that. I could go on and on with Bugs Bunny stuff all day long, but if you guys are too young for that kind of stuff, you won't appreciate it. But trust me, it's great stuff. Let's go back to some of the questions. Cool Tunes Made Easy. What's doing live or dead stream? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Richard says, oh no, not too many guitars of one color, black. So black's the color, that's it. Jack says he loves his blue guitars. And I do not have but need a plain red, gold, seafoam green, and a white guitar. Sometimes I feel that at a certain point when you have too many guitars, you're almost looking for what you don't have. Like for me in my collection, I don't have a junior, a Les Paul Junior, or a double cut, single cut, whatever. I don't have that style of guitar. So I've been kind of eyeing those guitars because I want to feel like I have access to something like that. I don't have a Flying V. To be honest, I don't have an interest in a Flying V. It's just too awkward to play. And I don't have a Destroyer type guitar. Not interested in that either. I've played one before and it was weird with the big piece of wood coming up here. You had your arm in a weird position. So I'm not really crazy about those guitars. I don't really have a gas at the moment for any of those guitars. But we never know in the future, right? Fearless Freep, often awesome stuff. Absolutely. That was like so funny. I used to love that guy just because he was so dumb. I love the one where he's trying to get rid of the mice in the cabin. And Bugs Bunny's fooling with him, and he's always getting blown up, and all kinds of stuff happened to that poor guy. And the one with the dragon, of course, where he says, "Don't sneeze, you stupid dragon! You will blow us all to smithereenies." And then, of course, he gets blown up, and he's like, "I hate dragons." That was like hilarious. Floors me all the time. Every time I see that one, it's so freaking funny. Yeah, we have a few other Bugs Bunny fans in the house. You know, when I start talking about Bugs Bunny with people around my age, they just like, they totally agree with how great it was in terms of a show. And they don't make shows like that anymore, I guarantee you. Paul says, propaganda, Bugs Bunny showing the enemy as less than human is very funny in spite of being insensitive to the extreme. Yeah, I don't think, I mean, they were pushing the limits in those days. They were doing, a lot of shows were doing stuff that you can't really do anymore today. People have become too sensitive to everything. And I'm all for, not offending anybody. I think everybody has a right to live their lives without having to be offended. But could you imagine if somebody came out today like Andrew Dice Clay, for example, stuff like that. The stuff that Andrew Dice Clay was doing in comedy, you can't do that today. Stuff that Richard Pryor was doing in comedy, you can't do that today. Even the early Eddie Murphy stuff, you can't do that today. So you have to really be careful with any kind of media you put out there today, because if there's something remotely sensitive about it, it's going to get flagged. Somebody's going to be offended by it. So it's unfortunate in a sense because you have to kind of water everything down. And in terms of comedy specifically, and I know we're going off on a tangent here, we're not talking about guitars for a minute, but I just feel like it's a shame because comedy is made to be enjoyed, and it's a joke. If you're going to a comedy show and you're being offended, like, you're in the wrong place. You got to leave your, if you're a sensitive type of person, leave that stuff at the door if you're going in to see a comedy show, or otherwise don't go watch a ballet or something. I just want to laugh, and I know it's a joke, and we're all, the thing is, the sword edge of comedy, unfortunately, is that behind every funny joke, there's something that you can relate to. There is a certain degree of relativity for everyone. So you're actually, you can associate with it. There's some truth in every single joke. That's what makes it funny, because you can picture yourself in a situation like that or something very similar. So, I don't know. It's just it's sad that our children and their children are going to be not necessarily able to enjoy that stuff. Yeah, Blazing Saddles is a perfect example. You can't say that stuff today. The stuff that they're doing on Blazing Saddles, stuff that they're doing on Airplane, Naked Gun, all those kind of things that were pushing the boundaries, even like Monty Python stuff. I mean, you remember that scene in Blazing Saddles when they first realized that the sheriff is not a white individual, with the ringing bells, and I don't even want to say it on the podcast, on the live show, but you know what, that scene that I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure, and you can't do that today, although it's funny, it's funny, but anyway. What else? And then of course there's like shows like Archer. I don't know if you watch Archer on Netflix. Pretty offensive stuff, but that's what makes it funny. Yeah, there's a lot of shows. Married with Children as well. What about All in the Family? I don't know if you guys remember All in the Family, Archie Bunker. You're watching those shows today. They were pretty risky, man. They were pretty on the edge there. Stuff like that you can't really do. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, exactly. Vox Guitars Rock took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. Shows like that. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is, guys. Times are changing, right? We have to change with the times as well. Speaking of being offended, this is a perfect segue. Well, the last video I put up was a video regarding relic guitars and how people are kind of offended or don't like relic guitars as well. And I read an actual comment that was posted, and somebody like really having trouble with relic guitars, and it surprised me that people could be so against something like that. Like, why is it so important for them? Why does it bother them so much? You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. If I'm driving down the street, there's some really ugly car colors that are on the road that I really don't like. But I don't really care. If you buy that car color because you like it and you want to spend your money on it, I don't care. You know, more power to you. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to go out of my way to say that color is terrible and you shouldn't buy it. And, you know, you're dumb if you bought that color. Who cares, you know? But for some reason, guitarists are really offended by the relic guitars. And I wanted to make a video on that just to go over it in terms of just why that is, and try to better understand why that is. I know that some people just don't like the idea because they think that they're paying extra money to buy a guitar that's been damaged, and they would never want a damaged guitar, right? I understand that, but I don't look at it that way. I mean, I mentioned it in the video, and if you haven't seen that video, again, I'll put the card above when I edit this video before it goes live, so you'll know what I'm talking about if you want to watch that video. But what I'm talking about is slightly different. I mean, I look at it from the perspective of, yes, there are terrible, very terrible, awful, actually, representations of excuse me, of relic guitars that I don't consider relic at all. I'm just gonna take a sip here because I'm gonna cough. And we all know what we're talking about, like all those cheesy Squire guitars or cheap knockoff guitars that somebody takes a sanding tool to and just, you know, quickly sands everything up and bangs it around a few times and then tries to sell it on eBay or Craigslist as a relic. Those are not relic guitars at all. That's garbage. That's something that should be thrown in the trash, if you ask me. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about relic guitars. When I talk about relic guitars, I'm talking about like Tom Murphy stuff. I'm talking about things where you know, you have a guitar and you just want it to look aged. It's almost like antiquing furniture. Like, why do people pay extra for furniture that's been antiqued? Because it has that look to it. It has that, you know, you can't buy that readily anywhere, like without being very lucky and finding a really good deal somewhere, where you can find a good used guitar, a vintage even, if you want to call it a vintage guitar, that has that worn in look, not overly bashed around, but is still a playable guitar and has that vintage look to it. It's hard to get those guitars. It's getting harder every year because the guitars are being bought and kept by collectors, and there's less of these guitars floating around. So if you're looking at something like that, what are you going to do? Are you going to like just spend $12,000 or $15,000 on a vintage guitar because you want that look? I don't know. I don't know. For me, if I really wanted that look, and either you make it yourself, but a lot of you don't have the skills to do that kind of stuff, so you're going to ruin the guitar for sure, or you got to pay somebody that knows how to do this, like Tom Murphy and other people that are professionals at doing this kind of thing tastefully. You know, and they're beautiful guitars. If you look at these guitars that these people are putting out, it's a work of art because it's tastefully done. It's not overdone. There's a lot of sellers that are selling these relic guitars and even guitar parts that are really overdone. Like they call these heavy relics, and you rarely see a guitar like that in the real world, like without it being, you know, a guitar that's been pulled out of a flood somewhere. You know what I mean? So even at that, there's a lot of them that are overdoing it. So there's a fine line between like too much and something that is gonna be just enough, right? So if you have a good quality person working on your guitars, it really is an art form. And my point to all this is just that you have to be able to appreciate that as an art form, because it's not somebody that just wakes up one morning and says, I'm going to make road-worn guitars or aged guitars and just can do it automatically. You have to spend time and energy learning the craft to be able to do it properly. So that's kind of the point I was trying to get across. And people, I respect everybody that says they don't like them and it's not for them, because, you know, like me, I don't like flying V guitars. I would never buy one. Or I don't like some of those crazy heavy metal shapes. I wouldn't buy one. So I respect that. But I don't care if you like it and you buy it. I'm not going to put you down for it. So that's pretty much my point. You know, that's what I was trying to get across in the video. So if you haven't seen that video, take a look at it. Maybe put your comments. I'm just curious what you guys think. I know a lot of people don't like them, and that's okay. I like them. I'm a type of guy that I like both, and there's reasons why. They just feel great. And I asked that question in my comment section after that video because I wanted to be sure that, you know, a lot of people were saying, it's not for me, I don't like it, I would never buy one. And I was asking them, did you ever try one? Because it's easy to say you don't like something before you try it. And then after you try it, it might change your perspective. I had that feeling about Telecasters till recently. When I say recently, it's a couple of years, but you know what I mean. Till recently, I didn't like Telecasters. I thought they were like country guitars. And I never really wanted to get one because I didn't think they were cool, right? I thought that, you know, who plays a Telecaster? The first person that came to mind was like, you know, Bruce Springsteen. And I'm like, nah, you know, he's not really a guitarist. So like, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan doesn't play a Telecaster. And Jimmy Page, at the time, I thought didn't play a Telecaster until I realized later on that he did. And that was his main instrument for a long time. And you know, other people like David Gilmour and other guitarists that I considered, you know, iconic guitarists like Eddie Van Halen and a bunch of others, they didn't play Telecaster. So for me, a Telecaster guitar was like an old man guitar, you know. Well, lo and behold, now I'm kind of an old man and I do appreciate Telecasters like crazy. I love Telecasters. Until recently I didn't. But I mean, now I would say most of the time I'm playing a Telecaster. Before I used to be a Strat guy and would play a Telecaster from time to time. Now I'd say the majority of my time is spent on Telecasters, and Stratocasters are kind of taking the back seat to a Telecaster, because for me a Telecaster really fits in between Les Paul and a Strat. You can get a twangy sound out of it, you can get a heavy sound out of it. It's so versatile and it cuts in the mix so well. And if you're playing with a band, you'll know what I mean. You don't have to worry about not being heard with a Telecaster, you know. So anyways, long story short, that's where I was going at after with my video on the Relic guitars. So if you haven't watched that one, check out the link as well, and you'll see what I mean. You know, it's one of these things. So Jamel says Telecasters are cool, but I'm a Stratocaster guy. Again, Jamel, have you tried a Telecaster? Have you really given it a try? And tried it in a live situation? Because that's one of the things that I have to say is that a lot of people say they've tried it, and when they say they've tried it, what they mean is they tried it in a music store or they tried it in their bedroom. But try it in a live situation, and then you're going to see the difference. You come back to me after that. Flying V's are only cool if you're left-handed and play the blues. Flying V's just like slide. They just slide too much. You have to almost like strap them to your leg. So it's really awkward to play any kind of Flying V guitar, in my opinion. So, hey, Sean the bassist, nice to see you, buddy. How you doing? What time did your live show end yesterday? I had to get to bed. I was watching it. It was interesting, but I needed to get to sleep, man. I haven't been sleeping well because of allergies. So, but it was pretty cool. Padded Pellet Room, nice to see you in the house as well. Yeah, he says, when I see a Telecaster, I see Keith Richards, same as Henry. Me too. I mean, Telecaster, who's the face of a Telecaster in today's world? It's got to be Keith Richards, right? Honestly, he's been, playing a Telecaster for the better part of like 50 years, I think so. Bruce Brooks says, actually, Bruce Springsteen is a great guitarist. He was the original lead guitarist in his band. You know what? I'm rollicking my guitar already. Look at this. I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen fan, so I don't know too much about the history of Bruce. I know he's a marathon performer, and I tip my hat to him in terms of his shows. Great energy. I mean, I watched one of his shows where he was playing with other artists. It was kind of I guess it was a fundraiser or something like that, or an awareness concert or something. The guy was soaking wet. Like, honestly, they're sweating, and then there's like stand in a shower for like 4 minutes wet. This is how he was like soaking wet. It must have been so uncomfortable, not only for him but people playing with him or nearby. But this is the kind of energy this guy puts out in his shows. He's not faking it, guys. So I really appreciate him for that. Brad Paisley plays a guitar, a Telecaster guitar. Yeah, and Brad's an excellent guitarist, by the way. And I'm thinking with a lot of the upsurge in country music. I'm not a country music guy. I don't really listen to country music, but I know country music is huge in the States. So with more and more of these country artists coming out nowadays, I wonder if the Telecasters will automatically become more popular. And one of the things I wanted to mention in today's video also is that I read recently that it's been a huge year for companies selling guitars, and that's really a turnaround. And we should definitely applaud them and be happy, because honestly, for many years their guitar sales have been going down and down and down, and to the point where people are getting worried, and it's getting harder for shops to open up because less and less of today's generation is playing electric guitars. But apparently, I read an article saying that right now Fender sold more guitars in 2020 than they ever have any other year in history. Now, that's a huge thing. And they're also saying that other companies as well are definitely reporting an upsurge. And does it take COVID for people to finally start appreciating a guitar? I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they're making sales, and I'm happy that they're definitely encouraging people to play guitars, because I would love for my kids to all be playing guitars. But in actual fact, it's not been the case. So thumbs up for that, man. And I'm wondering if that's going to continue past COVID now. For me, a guitar is not just a hobby. It's a therapy. It really is. I mean, especially during COVID and the whole stress with all this stuff going on in the world, elections and, politicians and fires and tornadoes and all kinds of stuff. I mean, for me, when I'm playing my guitar, I'm only thinking about one thing: connecting with the guitar on a totally different level. And it's like therapy. And honestly, I tell my wife this all the time. I have a lot of guitars, and I tell her, I say, look, therapy is like $300 an hour. You know what I mean? And my guitars are less expensive than that, and they bring me lots more pleasure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, a guitar and a dog are like therapy for me. They're like, it's a whole different level, and you're connecting almost on a spiritual level with your instruments when you're in the zone, right? So definitely, I could understand why the sales are so great now because of COVID, because people really do need to change their perspective and help them get through it. So definitely something that is going to be well appreciated for years to come if you actually grab the bug and want to learn. So a lot of people that reached out to me that they want to take lessons during COVID. And I wasn't offering lessons, but I started again, and people are just coming to me and without advertising or anything, and just saying, I want to take lessons. And they mentioned specifically because they need a distraction from COVID. So I appreciate that, and I totally understand. So let me go back on some of the questions here. Bruce says, hurt my finger switching back and forth before. Had both streams up on different monitors. I'm not sure what you guys were talking about there. Hey, Krenar, nice to see you, buddy. Hey, Jamel. So you guys finished at 2 o'clock in the morning last night. That's pretty late. You guys have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's interesting conversations for sure. If you guys haven't caught the Padded Pedal Room show, they do a live show from time to time, and interesting conversation that's anywhere from Bigfoot till I don't know what you guys were talking about before. I caught the Bigfoot conversation, but I think it was aliens and Bigfoot and all kinds of other stuff. So not necessarily 100% guitar talk, but it's still entertaining nonetheless. Springsteen has a new album coming out in a week with the original band members recorded live in his own studio. I'm not a fan, but the damn thing is killer. I'm sure it's gonna be killer. I mean, the guy's got the network around him to pick the best, the cream of the crop musicians he wants to play with, and it should be pretty cool to see that. I was going to say exactly what you said about Fender, Tony. Okay, so I beat you to it, George. William says, yeah, Bigfoot lives at the end of my street in one of my neighbor's yards. Are you sure it's not just a Goonie Goo Goo? Because Gus's wife has a mustache. What else are we talking about here? Check out Bill Frizzle, a supreme jazz player, uses Telecaster with a Bigsby. There's a lot of guitars that have played Telecasters for such a long time, so I'm totally comfortable with Telecasters as much as on my other guitars. So William says, just getting up here on Oregon. Still smoky and nasty outside. I wonder what the wildfires are going to do to the air quality. I mean, the good thing was that COVID was forcing a lot of people to stay put, and apparently the smog and a lot of the air pollution was getting way better for a period. But now, of course, with the fires going on, that's gone up in smoke, no pun intended. Going through some more of these questions here. I picked up a Brad Paisley Strat. It was one of those silver ones at a guitar center in Las Vegas when I was there recently. And that thing is so light. Honestly, I'm thinking it's made of balsa wood. It must be made of the same type of wood that that Strat, the black Strat I reviewed, was made out of, that I mentioned in the video, because it's so light. It blew my socks off. I lifted it up and it was like it was floating away, and like it's pretty cool. Like I like light guitars because they're just so nice to play, especially if you're playing for a long time. You don't have back pain and all that. But I wasn't expecting it to be so light, because Telecasters tend to be a little bit on the heavy side depending on what the wood is that they're made out of. But that one blew me away. Guitar Gear Reviews and Demo says, I'm in Seattle and it's very bad, super smoky. So what are you supposed to do right now? In like, are they warning people to stay indoors, like with all the smoke? Like, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to get out of town? Or are you supposed to just stay indoors? I mean, people that have asthma and other kind of afflictions, it must be pretty bad. Good friend of mine lives in Tigara, Oregon, safe from the fires for now, but can't go outside and breathe. Scary stuff, man. Like, so many people are just watching everything they own go up in smoke, and there's not much you can do about it. Pretty scary, man. You know, there was, I mean, nowhere near what's happening in the States, but just to say, you know, I have a field near my house here, not too far from us, and it's basically just an empty field, and there, you know, the grass grows up pretty tall. And this summer has been really extremely dry here. For some reason, a fire started there, and it wasn't like maybe somebody threw a cigarette butt or I don't know what, kids fooling around maybe. And the thing, I mean, it's just grass, and I would say it's maybe what, 2 feet tall. But that thing caught fire and advanced so quickly towards houses that were nearby that within a matter of minutes, it was really like up to the houses. And it wasn't, it's nowhere near a forest fire. I mean, it's just grass, right? And scary stuff. So I could only imagine what these guys are going through in these places. So I really, I pray that this thing, we get heavy rain or something that helps out the situation, because man, it's 2020. That's admitted, guys. 2020. So far this year has been the shits. It's been so bad with COVID, people losing their jobs, the economy, and everything that's going on with the riots, Lives Matter situation, and the police killings. I'm gonna call them killings, and whatever, man. It's just like one thing after another, and it's really a bummer, man. Really a bummer. I just want to like forget about 2020. I just want to like flush it down the toilet. If you guys get my drift. Supposed to be rain here on Wednesday. Thank God. Thank God for that. Hopefully it'll be a lot of rain. Heard that a lot of people are missing in Oregon, man. Well, hopefully they've just taken off. You know, they've just decided to evacuate their area. William says they're on evacuation alert about a mile from my house right now. I mean, I'd get the hell out of there, guys. I know people want to stay in their house as long as possible, but honestly, get the hell out of there. Everyone is wearing a mask now. Isn't that ironic? Now they're wearing masks. With COVID and when everybody was supposed to be wearing masks, everybody wasn't, but now they're forced to. So nature has a way of working things out, I guess. Vox Guitars Rock says, pouring rain right now. Well, that's good news. Bruce says, there's no gravity. The world just sucks. That's one way. That's the way. That's the attitude, Bruce. Come on, guys. You know, no matter how bad it gets, I think, you know, we can all agree that, you know, there's individuals in the world that do make the world a better place. And yeah, it does suck. And the world is constantly trying to kill us. You know what I mean? I mean, we forget that. You know, we forget we're on this small blue ball, you know, floating in the universe amongst billions and trillions of other stars, where at any moment we can be hit by a freaking meteor, you know, or something that can wipe us out, or a new type of bacteria could come around and kill us, or, you know, countless of things could happen to us, right? But we totally forget about that. You know, we totally forget we're just randomly floating through space on this little ball, and we're going around day to day in our regular routine, oblivious to the fact that we can be killed in thousands of different ways. Never mind, you know, getting hit by a car and getting cancer or anything like that. That's beyond that. But, you know, other things, other external forces. It's amazing how we're going around living our lives like this, right? And just concentrating on getting to work, making a buck, and paying the bills, you know? And it's really mind-boggling. And sometimes I take a step backwards and I got to remind myself, and I make a point of reminding myself almost every day that everybody's got a timer ticking. And some of us have less time than others. And at the end of the day, you got to wake up every morning with that idea in your head. I know it's morbid, right? It's kind of a weird way to wake up and think about the day, but it makes a huge difference when you think about it that way, because at that point you're thinking, screw the small stuff. You know, that's not important at all. I mean, oh, I had an argument about the dog with my wife or something like that. Who cares? That, you know, who gives a shit about that? At the end of the day, you got so many seconds left, right? The counter's ticking every single day. Are you going to make those seconds count, or are you going to spend another day doing stuff you don't like, you know, and waste it away? Because that's basically what's happening. Every second that goes by, you're wasting it. So I look at it that way, man. I look at it that way every day, as much as possible. Recently, I know this is going to be sad. I don't know. I didn't want to bring it up today, whatever. It's really a terrible thing, but we got a call from a friend of mine. I was at a friend's house, and he got a phone call, and it was a mutual friend of ours. And basically, he's in the hospital, and he called to say goodbye because the doctor says he's got maybe a couple of weeks left. He's been sick for a long time, and he's got a couple of weeks left. We haven't been able to see him because of the COVID stuff. He's been going through this stuff with his family, and it's gotten to the point where, you know, he didn't want to say anything, but he's making the phone calls, man. He's making the phone calls to say goodbye, and I couldn't believe I was talking to him, and, you know, I was never going to see him again. That's basically how we left off, man. It's like, this is it. It's like you're saying goodbye to someone that you're never going to see again. And this guy now, he's living reality, saying that not only is that counter ticking, but you only have, X amount of time left. And when you get to that point, and I was just thinking about what he could possibly going through, I could never put myself in his situation, but I was thinking about it, and I'm like what goes through your mind at that point? Like, obviously, he's not thinking about work. He's not thinking about, I should have worked harder or longer. He's not thinking about the trivial arguments he's had with his wife or kids or whatever. What he's thinking about is his loved ones, and basically spending every single second he has with his loved ones. And, it breaks my heart because this guy is a super guy, a real sweetheart of a guy. And you know what they say, like, for some reason it happens to the good ones first, and the next time I see him is going to be at the funeral parlor. And it just broke my heart, and I'm not ready for it. And I know he's not ready for it. But, when the time comes, there's no way of running away from it or delaying it. So I want to share this with you guys. I mean, it's breaking. I'm choking up here, but I want to share this with you guys because you got to go through life with that in your mind every single day. And I truly believe that will make everybody a better person. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're here for two things: to love one another, to procreate, to create life, and to make the place that we're sharing better. That's what really it boils down to. And, everybody that's chasing the dollar, like, I understand, they feel that money is going to be freedom. And they have the mentality in their mind that if they finally achieve financial freedom, it will buy them the luxury of being able to do what they want. The thing is, the time that you spend achieving that money, to get that money, you're wasting it away. And at the end of the day, you don't know how much time you have, man. So what do you want to do? Chase the dollar or spend quality time with the people you love? To me, it's quite obvious. But that's just me. So, anyways, life is not easy, man. It's not easy. I don't want to bring the show down. I just wanted to share that experience and kind of make it into a positive. It's a negative, but you can look at it from a positive, from the positive side as well. You don't know what to tell somebody in that situation. It's really, I had like a loss of words. But I mean, I just kept thinking. At the end of the day, I mean, I was thinking in my mind. I didn't say it to him. I mean, it's not something that you're gonna say. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're all basically, we're all moving towards that place where we're gonna be gone. Somebody told him he's got a couple of weeks. I understand how traumatic that could be, how like shocking it's gonna be. But at the end of the day, God forbid, knock on wood, I could be gone before he is. I can walk out of my house today and get hit by a bus. So the only difference is that he knows. He's got, like, somebody's physically told him, and I don't know. But at the end of the day, nobody knows, right? So we're getting philosophical here on Addicted to Gear today, and I don't want to bring anyone down. And it's not a good conversation to be having. So we'll go back to guitars, but I had to mention that, man. I just had to get that off my chest. So let's go back to guitars for a minute and lighten up the conversation, get things going again. Questions? What are the comments here? So Paul says, love your demo of the Boss DD200, amazing specs, easy to use, and sounds transferred to a real band instead of being useless ambient stuff that are rarely used. Yeah, I agree with that comment. A lot of the pedals that are coming out with delays and modulation effects, a lot of them are not really good. I mean, you can't really use them in a real application. A lot of them are too ethereal, and I don't see that happening in a live band situation unless you're playing some really left field progressive rock kind of stuff, experimental stuff that William says, that's why I get up on Sunday mornings and watch your stream, Tony. You're good, man. Good vibes. Thanks for giving us your time. My pleasure, William. My pleasure. Dude, it goes two ways, you know. I do it because I love it, and I know you guys do too. So that's really what it boils down to. It's just spending time doing stuff we all love together and enjoying that. So thank you for the nice comment, man. Bruce says, I had a stroke 6 years ago, left side paralyzed for 10 weeks. Only thing that got me through it was when I started getting some movement back and realized I could still play. Man, that's scary stuff, Bruce. That's not an easy thing to be dealing with, man. You know what they say, you don't really appreciate stuff till you can't use it anymore. You know, anybody that's hurt themselves will know exactly what I'm talking about. So the other thing I want to talk about is, so I mentioned Fender, I mentioned the sales, we talked about the Relic guitars, we talked about 6-string therapy and how that playing guitars really puts you in a different state of mind and makes the endorphins fire in your brain that I honestly believe helps with stuff like depression and other kinds of mental affliction and stuff like that. So guitars for me is really a definite plus in my life, and that's why I encourage a lot of people to start playing guitar no matter how old they are, because it's a lifelong passion that you can spend your entire life learning. Like, you're never gonna stop learning when you're playing guitar. You're never gonna get to the point where you're gonna say, okay, I know it all, I can't get any better, this is it, I plateaued, and I know all of the theory, I know everything that has to do with it. That's not true. So you never stop learning playing guitar, and that's what I love about it so much. It really is. The other day I played a riff from The Faces, Stay. You know that song Stay from Rod Stewart and the Faces with Ron Wood on guitar, and I've listened to that riff, that opening riff, so many times in my lifetime, and it was always so rocking. Such a rocking riff that I really enjoy, and it has such raw energy to it. And I always was trying to learn that thing, and I never really took the time to stop and actually learn it. So I started learning it recently, and I realized the first thing was that riff is entirely an open E. So that's why I was never able to really pick it up properly, because I didn't realize that it was in an open tuning. So it makes it really hard to get it to sound the way the record sounds. Then I started playing it in the open E tuning, and it's actually a very easy riff to play, but it sounds so great, and it's so much fun to play. And it's like, these are the type of things where like I said, you never stop learning, and sometimes it's just a question of taking a moment to stop and smell the roses and take that little riff and take a few minutes to learn it. And once it's in the bank, you can call it up anytime you want and integrate it into your playing, and it just evolves to the next level, and it's a lot of fun. I know a lot of you guys probably do that too, Fabian Waters says, love the way you appreciate affordable gear. Really, it's what you can do with what you have. I agree, man. Absolutely. I don't look at musical instruments in terms of price tags. I know there's a physical price tag to everything, but that's not the driving force as to why I choose an instrument. I get more of a thrill when I find an affordable instrument that plays and sounds great than if I buy a $4,000 or $5,000 guitar. You know what I mean? For me, it's like, wow, it's like you almost stumbled onto the best kept secret. Kind of like this guitar. This guitar is like $200, but it's a great guitar. I love it. You know what I mean? And you put this up to a more expensive guitar, you're gonna get more pleasure. I don't know. I mean, I'm getting a lot of pleasure playing this guitar. So that's how I look at it. And when I find an affordable guitar, I'll buy multiples of them just so I can modify them a little bit and get them even better than they are. That's why I want to put the Vega Trem on this guy, because I think it's going to be even better. So stay tuned for that. What are the questions here? One of the questions that I wanted to answer was actually asked by one of my viewers recently, and he has trouble. He's having trouble with a Fender amp, and he says that he doesn't like the sound of the speaker in that amp, and he was asking me whether or not I could recommend other speakers. I'm really a stickler for messing around with speakers. You guys all know that I love changing pickups. Well, the next thing that I also like changing is speakers and cabinets. And the reason for that is because you can get a so-so amp to sound way better just by changing the speakers in it. And so he was asking me if I had any suggestions for Fender amps. The thing with Fender amps is that you have to understand what you're looking for before. You can't just throw in any speaker, because you're gonna have to go through so many speakers to be able to finally find the one that you like. You know what I mean? And unless you have an unlimited budget for speakers, you don't want to just take shots in the dark. So the best thing would be to try to look at what kind of sound you're after. Like, for example, if it's a Fender amp that you want to upgrade the speaker to, I would say the first thing to do is listen to some other Fender amps and see what kind of speakers they're using. Sometimes the lower end Fender amps will use budget speakers or their own branded speakers that are made by other companies. But oftentimes you can try different types of speakers in different amps, Fender amps, and see if that is kind of in the ballpark. Obviously, the circuit's going to have a huge difference in the tone. So it's not just the speaker that's going to be making up that tone. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But if you like the frequency range of that particular speaker, then you can maybe try getting a speaker like that and putting it into your Fender guitar. I've modified speakers in Fender guitars quite extensively. I have a supersonic that's in the corner there. It's covered up, but it's there. That doesn't have the original speaker in it anymore. The original speaker's in my closet, but in there, I believe I put I changed it a couple of times. There was an Alessandro speaker in there at one point. There was a V-type speaker in there at one point. I tried different types of things. I have the luxury of having different cabinets behind me. So I have a 412 cabinet there. Here, let me get out of the way. You can see a little bit more here. I got a 412 cabinet. I have a 212 cabinet. The 212 cabinet has different speakers in it. They're Guitar Warehouse speakers. They're a mixed set in that 212 cabinet. Behind the Black Star, you can't see it right now, it's hidden, but it's behind the Black Star underneath the bass breaker. I have a 112 cabinet, and in that cabinet there's a Mojo Tone speaker in there as well. The only speakers I haven't actually modified are the Celestians in my 412 cabinet that's behind me on this side. The reason why I didn't modify that is that's an original made in England cabinet, and original speakers in there as well. Celestion 65s, which sound great. And I looked out with that speaker cabinet. The guy who was selling it was selling it for, I think, $400, and I think I talked them down to $375. Just the speakers in that thing are worth more than that. Like, you know, those speakers are hard to get, especially original ones. Anything I plug into that cabinet sounds great. I usually play my Dirty Shirley through that cabinet, and it sounds fantastic, phenomenal. But most of the amps that I play through that cabinet just sound great. So upgrading speakers, you could go crazy doing that kind of stuff, really. But it's an easy way to upgrade your sound. It really is. And again, it's reversible. So you can change it. If you don't like it, you change it back, and it's, you know, easy peasy. Nothing's permanent. And I did the same thing with my Blues Junior that I modified. If you guys checked out that video, the Blues Junior, I changed the entire cabinet on the Blues Junior. It was from that cheesy 112 cabinet that Fender gives you with the Blues Junior that's made of press wood. I had a pine cabinet made. The cabinet itself changed the resonance of that amplifier so much. It was like night and day. And then I put in two 12-inch speakers to get rid of the boxy sound that you have. The Blues Junior is actually a very good amplifier. The circuit is good, sounds great. It's just that Fender puts in a really small cabinet made of presswood particle board and a small speaker that is not very good. Upgrading that makes the Blues Junior so much better. So I don't know why people don't do that upgrade. You know what I mean? It's just something that I can't stop myself. Actually, you guys know I bought the Jared James Nichols combo amp, and I've been playing around with that amplifier, and I've been promising you guys a video on it. I just haven't had the time to get around with it because I've been fooling around with the speaker on it. The stock speaker on that is a Celestion. What is it? It's not an expensive Celestion. I think it's a what is it? It's a 75 GT75, something like that. I wrote it down. Anyways, not an super expensive speaker, but it's actually not bad. But it does suffer tone cry or cone cry, what they call, in certain low frequencies when you play a lot of low end through it. And that's one of the things that I'm not 100% happy with. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen from time to time. So I might actually play around with that speaker. I don't want to change it yet because I want to do the video for you guys first so that you can hear the combo amp in its native form before I start doing any kind of modifications to it. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably plug it into some of my other cabinets so that you can hear it with a combination like a 112, a 412, a 212, and you'll see the difference in the sound that you can get, and it's really night and day. So anyway, enough about that. G12T75, that's exactly it. William posted on it. I just forget sometimes. There's just so many numbers and figures going through my head. What other questions here? How are you liking the head rush? I love the head rush. Honestly, if you're playing a multi-effects unit, an FR speaker is the only way to go, in my opinion. I did an unboxing video of this guy. This is the Nux MG300 multi-effects guitar. This is like a modeling guitar processor. Inexpensive stuff, pretty cheap, but the sounds are good, man. I was actually surprised at how good the sounds are. So I did an unboxing video, I gave you my initial impressions on it. The only thing I said right away was the fact that the enclosure is plastic. But I'll tell you something though. The enclosure is plastic, but the sounds on this thing are good. And they sound better to me than this guy, which is more expensive. This is the Ampero one. So they sound better to me than this one, which this is a metal enclosure and it's got more outputs and inputs and stuff like that in the back. They all work. You can plug them in USB and you can use them as an interface. But the MG300 sounds better, and it sounds so much better going through the actual FR system. Using that system is so great because you can just take this and the speaker with you and go to a gig and you're pretty much ready to go, you know. You got to try one. If you're using a Multifx, you got to try one. And it's great for recording too, because you know what? It's so much easier to go through something like this when you're recording than having to mic up an amplifier and go through your pedals and everything, and you get noise and all kinds of stuff. With this and the editor on this, it's so much easier, and it makes recording stuff so much easier. I brought this with me when I was recording stuff with the band. We were doing like live recordings of some cover songs, and I just used this instead of miking up cabinets. It was a breeze. I actually started programming some of my own patches with that, with this kit, a piece of kit here, and it's pretty flexible. I mean, I would love to have more effects blocks on it. I would love to have more effects. Maybe eventually, if they do a firmware, maybe they'll add stuff to it. But the the editor software on it is pretty easy to use. It's like it's limited. It's not a fractal or something like that. But for the amount of money you're paying, it's a great tool, man. Sounds so much better. I remember buying the bean shaped pods. They sounded terrible back in the day, but in those days we thought they sounded pretty good. But compared to what they're coming out with now, it's night and day. What other questions here? Who else is in the house? Ben Combs. Hey man, nice to see you, buddy. How are you doing today? Thanks for joining us. Cushman. So, Fat Philosopher says, New Gear Day, I bought a Focusrite today. Hey man, awesome. Which one did you get? You got the simple one, or did you get the more fancy ones? I like my Focusrite. It works so well, and it's not that expensive. But it's funny you say that, because Universal Audio has just released the Solo Plus and Solo USB, which is basically a more affordable version of their main flagship unit. This unit is not cheap. It's about $690 US, but it comes with Luna. Luna, if you guys don't know, Luna is the new recording software that is shipping with the Universal Audio systems, and they're kind of competing with Logic and the other editing software that people are using. They're like Pro Tools or whatever. So it ships with that. You have a bunch of free plugins, and we all know the Universal Audio plugins are like killer. And you have access to other plugins as well. I think you can even rent them. So if ever I do upgrade my interface unit, I'll probably will go with that. Because latency is not fun to deal with. I don't have much latency with this, but the Universal Audio stuff is really good. The plugins alone are worth the price that you're paying for that stuff. Excuse me. The Scarlett, that's the one I have, Fat Philosopher. So you went with the Scarlett. Yeah, it's a good tool. I have it plugged in right over here. I don't want to show it to you because I have to unplug everything. It's a good tool. It works really well. So Sean, you also bought one. So the 4i4, that's awesome too. That's great if you're trying to do any kind of recordings, excuse me, with other people. Makes it a lot easier. $300, yeah, not bad, not bad. You might have gotten the new version. Is that $300 brand new or used? It's a lot of fun. You need to have an interface if you're doing anything with even if you just use GarageBand, for example, and you just want to put down some tracks. It's so much fun with an interface, But mind you, today with these guys, you don't even really need an interface, because you can go in with this USB and you have all of the effects right from here, including all the reverbs and cabinet simulations and mic simulations and everything. So in a sense, you don't really need that unit anymore, but it's good to have both. Still in the box. Well, at least you have something to look forward to open it up and play around with it. So you paid $329 plus tax, third generation. That's not too bad. That's a good price. I bought mine used. I got it used. I think I paid $150, but that was a while ago. I think the guy was upgrading it or whatever. they're solid units, man. They're built well. I haven't had issues with it at all. There's no real problems with it. It's plug and play, and it's pretty much dummy proof. So I think you're gonna like it. You're gonna get a lot of use out of it for sure. Cool Tunes Made Easy says I have 78 speakers in a 12 by what? Wait, I have 70. Oh, sorry. I read it wrong. You almost gave me a heart attack. I thought you said I have 78 speakers. Okay. I have 80 speakers in a 2x12 Blackstar. Thinking of swapping, your thoughts on 80 speakers, or do you have experience with them? The 80 speakers are not terrible. I mean, they're middle of the road speakers. They do a lot. I mean, I don't know if they're the best quality speakers. I would definitely recommend Guitar Warehouse speakers. They're affordable. They have speakers that kind of emulate other speakers. And they do it well. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but they have veteran 30 speakers, which are kind of like the equivalent of a Celestion 30. The ET65s are basically kind of, they're trying to emulate the speakers in that cabinet, which is the 65s. I can guarantee you, I can honestly tell you that they don't sound the same, but they're in the ballpark. They're in the ballpark. But of course, these speakers are way older, so there's that as well. They've been broken in quite a bit. I definitely think upgrading that speaker, maybe to a greenback or creamback, or depending on what you're looking for in terms of a tone, will definitely sound better. You can tighten up the low end as well. Again, you have to figure out what you're looking for in a tone. But I would go for it. I'd go for it because if you don't like it, like, don't get rid of the original speaker right away. If you don't like it, try one. I mean, worst comes to worst, you don't like it, you sell it, you flip it, you get your money back, and you try something else. You know what I mean? Unless you have friends that have a 112 cabinet that have different speakers in it, and you can borrow them and maybe plug that amplifier directly into the 112 and try something that you like. There's also some pretty good videos online where they're doing a direct speaker comparison, like one by one. They play a loop and they're trying like 10 or 12 different speakers to give you a representation of what they sound like. Because you'd be surprised, like, you know, like you automatically think greenbacks would sound really, really good, but depends what you're playing. Depends what you're playing through. Depends how tight you want the bass to be or what kind of highs you're looking for. Speakers will change the sound completely. Alexander says, I never liked 7080s. Definitely gets a V-type vintage 30 or greenback if you want Celestion. I like the V-type speakers. I have V-type speakers here. Vintage 30s sound good too. They definitely have different characteristics to them. Greenbacks are great as well. I can't answer your question, Sean. Speakers for bass. I'm not a bass player, man, so I really don't know. I mean, you have to ask a bassist for that. I couldn't answer that question. Sorry, man. Hey, Kushman. Thanks for saying hello, buddy. Take it easy, Paddle Petaroom. No, you're sticking around. It's Ben. You're saying bye to Ben. Take it easy, Ben. Celestion Blue are great too. There's so many different types of speakers, man. There's so many. We can be sitting here talking all day about what we prefer in speakers. By the way, guys, I wanted to give you a heads up. If any of you need strings and you're in the States, this is not really worth it for people in Canada because of the shipping and whatnot. But Sweetwater has a cool deal on their website. Ernie Ball strings. These are the regular slinky strings, a pack of 3 for $9. So if you want to grab them, if it's in your neighborhood and you're not paying too much for shipping or duties, if you're in the States, it might be a good deal. $9 is pretty decent for a 3-pack. So Just wanted to pass that on. And also, I'm a little disappointed. Remember, we were saying 2020 sucks. Well, 2021 is going to suck too, because there's NAMM 2021 is canned. It's officially off the books because of COVID. So that sucks. You know, as a YouTuber that loves gear and is always looking forward to new stuff so we can try things, that sucks. You know, unfortunately. So 2021, bum, 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 bum. No NAMM. So now what are we gonna do? Guys, what are we gonna do? Alexander says, I just bought a Dave Murray Strat on Reverb last night. Alright, man. Awesome. You know what, Alexander, coincidence. Somebody just offered me a Dave Murray Strat 2 days ago. Locally. I had something else listed as for sale, and he wanted to trade the Dave Murray Strat, but I didn't go for it. So how do you like it? Give me your opinion on it. You probably didn't get it yet, right? Because you just bought it last night. Nothing against the Dave Murray Strat, man. I think it's a great guitar. It's just that I've gotten to the point where I don't want to mess with Floyd Roses anymore. So what kind of music do you play? Obviously, you're probably playing Iron Maiden, something like that. V30s have a really strong mid-range, tight low end. That's true. They definitely are focused more in the mids. Take it easy, Sean. Talk to you later, buddy. Hang in there. Padded Pellerum says, we'll have no choice but to play our gear. We're going to have to play it till it's ragged, because we're not going to be getting anything new. No, that's not true. I'm sure they're still going to be releasing products, even though NAMM is not out. It's just they're going to have to promote them in a different way. I mean, it's getting to the point where YouTubers are becoming indispensable for brands that are trying to get their products out there. And you know, the whole hype around NAMM is really to create a buzz, and without it, it's really a lot harder for companies to get the word out about their gear. So maybe it's a good thing for YouTubers. Maybe we'll be able to entice companies to let us review their stuff a little more. Is it possible for a shop to drop the price of a guitar from $870 euros to 600 euros in order to match online prices? I think it is. If they have a price match policy, they usually will do it. Unfortunately, though, that's a big jump. So maybe some people might not be willing to do that for you. But if there's a price match policy, it shouldn't be an issue. Unless they find like some loophole in the squinty print, like they say, oh, you know, but it has to be like, they have to have stock. It can't be, you know, a clearance of last year's models or something like that. There's always like little squinty print with these deals, but you should be able to get it. I mean, especially today, people are really interested in making sales. So they're hurting, you know, so you probably will be able to deal with them a little bit easier. Try. You never know, man. Alexander says, I needed more Floyd Rose in my life. I like Maiden metal, but it's pretty versatile with the pickup configuration. Yeah, for somebody who likes Floyd Roses and likes the Strats, it's a nice combination for sure. Definitely. I think you're going to like it. Let us know how it sounds when it comes in and give us your feedback on it. I'd be very interested in hearing that. Who's Sanford Magnetics? Oh yeah, the t-shirt. Sanford Magnetics is a pickup winder in Canada. He's made the pickups for me that I have in my PRS Korean, which is over there, right there. check him out. Check out Sanford Magnetic website. Good guy to deal with. He's in Canada. His pickups do sound really good. And I highly recommend the low output pickups. I have these ones here. They're low outputs. V68s. Sound really great. And he can probably wind whatever you need. He's a really nice fellow there that I deal with. So yeah, he sent me a shirt. So I don't mind promoting stuff I like. No NAMM next year is sad news. We will have to rely on the YouTuber reviews like Tony to keep us updated on gear. I'm hoping they're going to be willing to send us some stuff. Speaking of new stuff, I got new stuff too. I forgot to mention. Get distracted sometimes. Sorry about that, guys. Been playing around with this pedal right here. This pedal, it's getting a lot of glare, so I'm going to try it. It's a funny pedal. Check out the name. It's called the Honker Overdrive. Honker Overdrive. Almost looks like Daffy Duck or... But basically, this is a pedal from TL Pedals. They sell these on Reverb. So if you want to check them out on Reverb, what it is basically a boutique version of a tube screamer. Again, I know some of you guys are going to roll your eyes and say, just what we need, another tube screamer. But I can honestly say I was playing with this pedal yesterday. Blew my socks off, man. I wasn't expecting much because the name of the pedal is very misleading because nobody likes a honky sound, right? But this pedal is not honky at all. Also made in Canada. This pedal is about $200 and honestly made my amplifier sound really good. Tons of low end on this thing, and because there's a mod switch already installed, it's a 3-position switch. You can get from very clean sounds to almost a fuzz sound. So it's not exactly like a tube screamer. It's actually, to me, better because more low end. The tube screamers in general always sounded thin to me, you know. And whenever I would play a tube screamer, it was always like, I need more bottom or more gain. And this does exactly that. There's more bottom, more gain, and you know, the tube screamer always has like how can I put this? The mid, you know, there's a mid hump with a tube screamer. The mid hump is the Q on the mid hump is wider with this pedal. It's not as focused, which I think sounds better in my opinion. And also the switches on these good quality. He builds these with really good quality parts, including Switchcraft switches, Nutric jacks, good quality alpha pots. Really nice pedal, man. So I'm going to be playing around with this a little more. I just got this yesterday. I'm going to be playing around with this a little more. And I'm going to be doing a review on that as well. So if you guys are definitely into something like a good quality tube screamer, then check that out. And it's funny because I just bought another inexpensive pedal, which is this guy here. Let me grab that for you. I showed you this last week. This is a Demon tube screamer. Very similar, wouldn't you say? Very similar. And this one also has a switch on it. So this one lets you switch between the TS9 and a TS808 circuit. And this one is slightly different. It doesn't do exactly the same thing. It just fattens things up or cleans it up. But the difference, I mean, this is $199. This one, I think $30. So there's a lot of stuff to choose from when it comes to tube screamer style pedals. This one's not bad. I mean, I like it for what it does. In terms of the tube screamer sound, for the money, I have no problem with it. Padded Pedal Room says, I got the King Klon from Tim and LT Pedals, and I will be reviewing shortly. He makes fantastic pedals. There you go. There you go. So we have another person vouching for the quality here. Craner says, I'll give it a shot. The worst that can happen is I'll be banned from the shop and I'll end up with some kind of Gretsch or D'Angelico semi-hollow guitar. I'm pretty sure they won't ban you from the shop. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, remember that. Vox Guitars Rock says, I recently picked up a Behringer TM300 pedal. It does Marshall crunch very well, but it's noisy. The thing with the Behringer stuff is I'm just not sure how well they're going to hold up over time. With just the enclosures are pretty cheap, and the pots are usually pretty cheap. So I don't mind going cheap as long as the stuff doesn't fall apart on me, you know. Fat Philosopher says, I live, LOL, live used pedals. Planned to pick up an EQ pedal next. You need, yeah, long live. You need an EQ pedal. EQ pedals, to me, is a must on a board. If you only have one pedal on a board and you're playing in a live situation, get an EQ pedal. You definitely want to be able to tailor your sound and get into the frequency where you're not overlapping anybody else's frequencies. So many times, I've spoken about this before, so many times you see people playing in a live situation that don't have control over their sound, and what ends up happening is that everybody's competing with each other because they can't hear each other because they're overlapping frequencies. And what do? They turn everything up. So the guitarist gets a little louder, the bass player gets a little louder, and the singer's got to get a little louder, and so on and so forth. And before you know it, it's just a pile of mud. And I always tell the guys that I play with, I mean, don't get louder, just get into a different frequency. And the only way you can do that is with an EQ pedal. And it once you understand that, it makes things so much better. And it makes a live situation way more controllable. Behringer is fine. The casing is hard plastic. Unless you're an elephant with your heavy foot, you're not going to break it. Otherwise, the upgraded versions are the TC Electronic tank pedals. I wonder if they sound the same. I know that TC had partnered up with Behringer to make less expensive pedals. So I'm wondering if the Behringer pedal you're talking about has been ported over to the TC Electronic version. That could be cool to check out. Yeah, the $30 Joyo 6 band, that's what I have on my board right now. I had that on my board for a long time, actually. It's been on my board for years. I said to myself, I won't buy an expensive one. I was going to get the MXR one because I like it and it's built very well. So I didn't buy that one because it was more expensive and I didn't come across a good one used. So I ended up buying the cheap Joyo EQ pedal. Works great. I said to myself, I'm just going to play this till it breaks. I was expecting it to break already, but it didn't break yet. So I'm still using it. And I like it because the sliders have the little lights on them, so you can actually see when you're playing in a live situation what your EQ is set to. And the Boss one is also built like a tank, but the Boss is a little bit too sensitive for my taste. The sliders on the Boss change the sound a little bit too aggressively, so I prefer the MXR. I agree, MXR is a must on a board. And I saw the K-Line ones too. The 6 band and the 10 band. And they're clones of the MXR, like you're mentioning, Quicksilver. The only thing is I tend to avoid big pedals on my board now. I know that the 10 band is good too, but it's maybe more than what I need. So it takes too much room on my board. So I prefer to go with a smaller footprint pedal like the smaller MXR ones, I think. Yeah, has volume and gain sliders. That's true. And that's a nice thing to have because you can use it as a boost. For solos, if you don't have a boost pedal, you can use your EQ as a boost. If you're thinking Boss, it's a little more, but better, I'd say, than a Joyo. But for 30 bucks, a Joyo works well. I agree, and it's not noisy, William. That's the thing, you know. Like with the inexpensive pedals, you're always worried that it's going to introduce some kind of noise or suck tone or whatever. It doesn't seem to do that. A lot of the Joyo stuff, I mean, it's cheap, but I mean, certain things you don't really need more than that. Like at one point, I had the Joyo tremolo, and a tremolo is a tremolo, you know, and it sounded good. It didn't sound cheesy. It had a nice sweep to it, and it was very inexpensive. But at the end, I didn't really use the tremolo sound that much, so I ended up selling it. So you don't always need like expensive gear. You know what I mean? Like I bought this. This is the second time I bought this one. This is the carbon copy, the analog delay. It's a great pedal, but I bought it once. I had it for a while. I ended up selling it. It's because it's dark. It's a dark pedal. And at the end of the day, you know, there's a couple of other pedals. I had a Joyo one that was basically a copy of this one. I don't even know if I sold it, if I still have it. I might have sold it after I got this one. And it worked really well. I used that one for a long time, and it was fine. And it was very inexpensive compared to this one. And now, I'm going to show you something. Bear with me. I'll grab something over here for you guys. I grabbed this. This is the Donner Time Wave, and for what I need, this thing's tiny. Look at the difference in size. I mean, this is already not a big pedal, right? Look at the difference in size. So, honestly, I've been playing this guy, which is less expensive than this guy, a lot more. Look how small it is. It even has a little switch on it, so you can do you can have modulation or regular. Tiny thing, doesn't have a battery, of course, but this thing works so well that I didn't need this one anymore, you know. And the only reason I took this one off my board now is because I'm experimenting with another one that I showed you last week, that I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, but it's a bigger one, and it's got both delay and chorus built into one pedal. So I figured I'd use that one so that I would, you know, with one big pedal, I'm replacing two little ones. So it saves me the connector and whatnot, you know. But Joyo pedals are great, man. I like them. I've been using them. I have this one also, which is the Ultimate Drive, which is basically, they say it's a clone of the OCD, I think. You know, I use this for quite a while. I haven't plugged it in recently in a long time, but it's also, I still have it. I haven't sold it. So there's a lot of good stuff out there, guys. You don't have to spend a fortune. Excuse me. Joyo came out with the R series EQ10 band as well, but no gain slider. Amazon Japan has the Joyo for about 40 bucks. We'll have to pull the trigger. Yeah, do it, man. Honestly. And the beautiful thing with Amazon, I you know, that's why I love Amazon. Not because I love being gouged, but they have a really good return policy. If you don't like it, you send it back. You know, so it gives you an opportunity to try out stuff. Try the Nux Atlantic Great Pedals. Nux is coming up with a couple of other good pedals, and I'm actually blown away by the quality. I mean, I did a review on this one here. This is the JTC Looper, and built like a tank, man. This thing is really well built. Fun looper pedal to play with for sure. And this is part of their new line, and they're coming out with good stuff. So the Atlantic one is something I saw too, and I'm going to try and get my hands on one. Has anyone tried the Moore Black Truck? I haven't. I've seen reviews on it. I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet, but I don't know if I will though. I mean, lately the Multifx pedals at the price point that they're selling for have been blowing my socks off, just because, for the price of like a couple of pedals, you can get like so much more. So I've been spending my time with those more than anything. So what else have you guys picked up? I mean, it looks like you guys are still shopping quite a bit, probably more than I am. We should do a video only on EQ pedals. It looks like you guys are all into EQ pedals, which is great. I didn't think a lot of you were appreciating how flexible EQ is on a board. The Nux Yellow Looper. It works, not my favorite, but definitely usable for the first looper option. I had one of those, William. It works well. It was a decent pedal. A little finicky though at times. But it still was a good pedal. For somebody that wants to get a looper, definitely was a good one. And the other, I believe... I don't have it anymore. I think I sold it. I think Donner also makes a looper about this size, and it basically competes with the Ditto looper from TC Electronics. Very simple, one button type deal, and great for just looping, and very small. So I do appreciate the pedals that are small these days, because I don't like pedals that take a lot too much room on my pedal board, because things are getting heavy. And I like to travel light as much as I can. Shut the front door, William. You got your first PRS last week, the 245 SC. SC or SE? Because the 245 is one of my favorite PRSs. But you're saying SC and then SE. So which one is it? Quicksilver says, I bought the Harley Benton Fusion 2 Tele. Lefty on Friday. Should be here on Tuesday. Awesome, man. Congratulations. It's a good guitar, man. I like it. Do I still have one in here? No, I put it away. I had one over here. I was playing with it just recently. The thing about the Harley Benton Fusion 2 Telecaster, the neck is a little bit wider, in my opinion, or the carve is a little bit different than the Fusion 2 Strat. Subtle, but there is a difference. But if you didn't play the Strat, you wouldn't notice it. I think the octave down on that Nux Looper had bad tracking. Are you talking about the yellow one, or are you talking about the one I showed you here? Do you make your own pedal board, Tony? I did. I made one in the past. I sold it. I made one as a carry box with an interior section that was angled and had handles to pull out. And it worked well. And it was built to my specs, my size. And the only reason I sold it is I made the mistake of using a covering for it that you often see that they cover like DJ speakers with. It's kind of like the what do you call that? It's like a felt kind of material. It's black. I used that for the entire thing, and that was the only issue I had with it, because I have a dog. She sheds like crazy, so dog hair gets everywhere, and if it gets into that felt, it's very hard to even vacuum off. It kind of gets sucked into it, and I got so fed up I ended up selling it, and I just sold it to someone else. But I made it really nice. It had quick release latches in the back, so you can take the top off, and you can use the bottom part of it as the base, or you can lift out the slanted piece where I had my pedals velcroed to and put that on the ground. Wasn't hard to do. I recommend it if you really want something a specific size where you want to be able to fit, say, a wah pedal in there or something. Or, but right now I'm using the one I showed last week. It's the Bumblebee one, and it works well. It's 2-tier, and it's made well. It's not. It's a little heavy because that's because of all the pedals I have on it. I have about 8 pedals on it. I'm always trying new things with pedal boards just to make it more efficient and lighter and easier to carry. So it's the single cut SE. Okay, not the SC. So the PRS I have is for that particular model is the SC model. It's the made in US one and USA. But the SC ones are good too, man. And the one I have behind me over here, that guy is very similar, except it's a hollow body. But it's very similar to the SC, except the neck on it is a bit chunkier on that guy. Pedal room, take it easy, dude. What are you making for lunch? You got to keep them happy, right? You don't want to make them you keep them hungry. So yeah, definitely go feed the little ones. Fat Philosopher says Harley Benton will be releasing a headless lefty in the spring, black color only. I know you've been talking about this thing for such a long time. The Fat Philosopher has been hunting for the headless guitar version. So he definitely has gas for it. I'm hoping you're going to be able to get that soon. I'm curious to see what you'll have to say about it. Pasta's always good. Enjoy. See you next time, Parapel Room. Take it easy, man. That philosopher always cracks me up. He says, "Give them their BB gun and tell them to get their own lunch." I don't know how much squirrel meat would go over with the wife, but you could try that. The neck on my 245 is perfect for me. My favorite neck, in fact, even over my Kiesels or Les Pauls. The thing with PRS is they're really like such great playing guitars in terms of the necks. That's what really sold me on them. It really plays like butter. If you haven't tried a Les Paul, do yourself a favor, try it out. You'll see what not a Les Paul, a PRS. Do yourself a favor, try it out. They just play so well. The only thing I need to do now with the SC245, I want to change the pickups on it. I know you guys are going to razz me on that, but the pickups on that particular guitar, in my opinion, PRS at that time, it's an older model, the one I have, they hadn't really mastered the pickups yet. I don't know who was making the pickups for them, if it was them or some other company. But I want to try. I'm going to probably get another set of pickups from my friend Matt over at Monty's Guitars and put them in there because I'm telling you, rock hard for those pickups. Rock hard. I'm going to have them on the show again. I had him on the show way back, and we've talked since then, and I'm going to have him back. And I'm telling you, man, he makes really good pickups. So I'm going to try and get a set from him for that guitar and just put it in there because so good. You can get some gophers and some songbirds too. As long as they don't bring home skunk or something like that. You were surprised to see that they had alpha pots in it. Yeah, I mean, look at the price you're paying for those guitars on brand new is, you know, over $1,000. So they're not giving them away. So the least they can do is put in some alpha pots for sure. Yeah, I think if you swap the pickups, you're gonna have an awesome guitar. But really check out those pickups from Matt if you can afford them. I know they're not cheap, but the PAFs that he makes, among the best I've tried. Would not hesitate. So guys, listen, we've been talking now for over 2 hours. I think we're going to wrap it up for this Sunday. I think everybody's got other stuff to do beyond just watching me yap all day long. Appreciated you guys tuning in. If you guys have nothing to do this week, keep your eye open on my channel because there'll be some videos that I'm going to be posting. And of course, if you want to support the channel, subscribe. You can grab some swag. Don't forget the coupon code, guys. I posted at the top this morning. I didn't mention it, but there's a coupon code there. Addicted to Gear, ATG 39. You get a 10% discount on some gear. Not gear, but swag. If you want to get a t-shirt or some other stuff. And don't forget to go and support our channel. The companies that are also supporting our channels. Also in the link down below as well. So it's always a pleasure, guys. I really appreciate it. Holy mackerel, you said you paid $465 for yours? No way, William. That's a good deal, man. You lucked out on that one, dude. That's a good deal. Congratulations. So that's it today for today's show, guys. Have an awesome Sunday. Stay safe. Stay out of harm's way till next Sunday. And definitely spend time playing your guitar as much as you can. Squeeze out as much juice and goodness out of your guitars and your amps and everything during the week. And that'll help you keep going till next Sunday for sure. So give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. I really appreciate you guys tuning in like always. Looking forward to next Sunday. Same time, same place. And we'll talk again. Keep rocking, boys. Take it easy, all right? Have a great Sunday.